No. Very nice, very nice. I think yeah. Very close to the US. Miami is very close to the United States. But you go to the shop or in this area there are really new.
Very well. Nice to see you.
Hi. How are you doing?
Yes, how are you? Here.
Pero no hay que centrarlo. Yeah, it's a great one. But it's great opportunity. You really need to take a flight. But then when you are there, it's a lot of
Nothing compared before.
Let's hold that in autumn.
Welcome to the Saxum Research Center, which first of all is a multimedia center, which is very connected to the subject we're going to discuss today. We're going to discuss the graphic way of discovering the Holy Land, and for that we have here Father Jesús Gil. Jesús Gil holds a doctorate in Spiritual Theology from the Pontifical University of the Holy Cross. He was a former public relations man, was working in several newspapers in Spain, and is very focused on graphic design. And of course, he's also the author of The Footprints of Our Faith, which was a bestseller at Saxum Research Center. And also, we have here the other author, Joseángel Domínguez, who also holds a PhD in Biblical Theology from the University of the Holy Cross. He studied also business administration in Sevilla, and now he's the co-director of CRETIO Foundation, based on Miami, who came from there to Jerusalem to present that book here. So please, Father Gil.
author of In the Footprints of Our Faith. In fact, I have a fan over there in Oklahoma City that says that In the Footprints of Our Faith is best book ever about the Holy Land. But you know, fans exaggerate. It's something. We have brought here because, well, you have seen in the Saxum website that the editions, the original edition in Spanish is launched. Also, the Polish edition is released, and we have here an example of the Polish edition, Rota Bibli. I have said Rota, yes, Rota Bibli, yes. The original Portico de la Biblia. And then we have finished, but the release time is not easy. But we have the English edition, Bible Portico. You can find, in fact, copies here. We will release in some weeks. And then Portel de la Bible in French, that is finished and is in print, so in some weeks it will be released also. And then Portico de la Biblia in Italiano. It's finished and we will it will be released It will be released in some weeks also. Well, you surely remember the historical news on 22nd March 2016 when the custody of the Holy Land announced on their website that they had reached an agreement with Orthodox Christians and Armenians regarding the restoration of Jesus' tomb. It was an incredible news. It was when they have prepared this agreement with months and months of talkings and dialogues. The work on the Holy Sepulchre started on May 2016, after Easter celebrations according to the Julian calendar. And with the passing of the weeks, it was possible to truly evaluate the scope of the work that it carried out. For the first time since 1555 or beyond, the panels of marble that cover Jesus' tomb will be removed. That means that the archaeologists will be able to confirm the existence of the original excavated bench of the rock where it's believed Jesus' body was left. So the place of the resurrection, where Jesus Christ resurrected. But for me, it was obvious that that news would require a visual description. At the time, I was already pressed, but I had worked as a visual journalist before. It's an example of my work in La Voz de Galicia, a small, medium newspaper where I worked. Do you remember, for example, the capture of Saddam Hussein? The kind of work I was the art director there, and this is the kind of work we made there. This one is a bit very end. Tomorrow it will be the anniversary of this killing in Africa, one year ago. So visual journalism is a skilled communication job in which you try not to tell the news, but to show and explain by maps, diagrams, graphics, labeled photos, brief text, and so on. So visuals are useful when trying to show a before and after, for example, or an evolution of a building, of the evolution of the city of Jerusalem. These are graphics made in the footprints of our faith. So, added to my professional skills, I have some knowledge of the Holy Sepulchre because of in the footprints of our faith. It was a series of articles that I produced between 2012 and 2015 to make all these visuals, all these graphics. Well, I had lots of documentations of maps and so on. So for me, it was obvious that the restoration of Jesus Town was an historical news, and that in the media, this news may deserve a visual explanation, an explanation of the entire Church of the Sepulchre. Well, as I was free, because in 2016 I was oppressed, so I was not working in any media. No? I was working in other pastoral works. No? So, well, I decided to help my old friends in the media to make visuals about the Holy Sepulchre. So I offered the documentation of the Holy Sepulchre I have put together to various colleagues. I had, well, of course, quotes of the Gospels, other historical sources, construction plans, photos, other graphics, scans, three-dimensional models, videos. Well, I had loads of information. The first colleague, first friend to receive the documentation was Fernando Batista from National Geographic magazine. We spoke, in fact, about the news of the restoration a few weeks after the work had begun. He was very much attracted to the classic tension between knowing and not knowing. People know that Jesus' tomb is in Jerusalem, but this tomb is worship, but they don't know the details of what it's like or how it ended up being covered by a large church, or the history of this church. No? So you know and you don't know. So this tension is well, it's very tricky to journalists, because you have something to explain, and you have a job to do, no? To explain people something that they should know or they would like to know, and they don't know. Well, the National Geographic Society was involved in some of the tasks in the restoration, such as the scanning of the small building, the edicle that protects the sepulchre, and they also exclusively recorded the moment that the slabs were removed from the tomb on 26th October 2016. We have a witness here of that day, of that moment. All that was recorded and photographed by National Geographic. The news from that day in the National Geographic news section on the internet, on their website, that included a 4-minute video, maybe you all saw this video, was very well received. More than 1 million views in the first 72 hours. More than 1 million views, 72 hours. The same clip on the National Geographic channel on YouTube have reached almost 2 million views in its first year of publication. And what I think is most astounding, it received more than 1,000 comments in YouTube. 1,000 comments. So this video, people were there and comment and okay. Anyhow, the decision to publish infographics in the magazine was not automatic. Fernando had tried to propose the project with the information I have given to him, but with little response until December 2016. He told me that he went one weekend, one Sunday to work to the offices, and he met Leno Elan, a text editor, in the coffee shop, and they began to talk. Fernando was. While talking to each other about what we were working on, he told me that he was preparing a piece with Christine Romy, editor, on biblical archaeology for December 2017. So one year in advance. They worked 1 year in advance always. I told him about the documentation I have on the Holy Sepulchre and the possibility to make graphics, and he seemed very interested. The inconvenient thing was that there were only 3 days left before the coverage plan. The coverage plan for them is the meeting, the executive committee meeting, when projects are approved and teams are assigned. But the problem is that Fernando wasn't in that team. On Monday, I spoke with my managers, and they allowed me to present an idea for the coverage plan. I prepared a sketch showing the historical layers, the ancient quarry, the tomb and the Golgotha were, the Roman temple, the first basilica, so on. They liked it, and they assigned the graphic to me, and I started to plan my trip to Jerusalem immediately to interview the archaeology team of the National Technical University of Athens, who were directing the restoration. Well, for now we leave Fernando organizing this trip to Jerusalem, and we go back to Spain. The first graphic on the restoration of this stamp appeared in Palabra. Palabra is a multinational magazine about religion, a Catholic magazine. Well, in the last some months ago, Palabra changed the brand to Homes. Palabra is called Homes. But obviously, the restoration of this stamp was interesting for the readers. So it's actually magazine. But they waited until they had enough material for a long report. They planned it for January 2017, and the text was commissioned to a collaborator who lived here in Jerusalem, then at the time, Santiago Camada, and I was asked to work on the visual part. Well, what I did is I offered to adapt the graphics that have been prepared for the footprints of our faith, and I offered this an adaptation of these graphics that you have here. I divided the information into 3 pieces. The transformation. This is the graphics of the footprints of our faith. So the first one is the transformation of Jerusalem, summarized in 3 maps. The evolution of the area where the Golgotha and the Sepulchre are, with some profiles and sample ground plans, and then the complexity of the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre as it is today. So with a drawing in perspective, and it could be, well, you surely know about this graphic because it's all in some posters in the streets of Jerusalem, you know very well. The illustration is the property of Holy Land Guides, and Israeli Publishing House, and in fact it was published after a fee was paid, as was the case in the footprints of our faith also. So the 3 pieces aim to provide clarity and historical context to an audience that knows and doesn't know. I myself had that experience of knowing and not knowing, when I met in the footprints of our faith. When I all the details. No? The second graphic appears in El Correo. El Correo is a local newspaper. It's a group of local newspapers. So the author worked in El Correo, but the graphic was published in all this group of locals, leader local newspapers. The author is José Benítez. I offered him my collaboration in December 2016. In fact, José told me that he had already seen the coverage of National Geographic on the removal of the slabs and on the internet. And the idea of making graphics went through his head, but he had decided against it. So, well, it's an issue to make an incredible graphic, but well, the problem is where to find out the information. That I have no time to collect all this documentation. So well, he thought that his team wouldn't have the time to make all this job. So when I offered all the documentation gathered, he thought, well, we can do it. They decided to publish, dedicate 5 pages to the report, free with graphics, and they scheduled the publication by the end of the works of restoration. Well, the works were completed on 22nd March 2017, and in fact they, Vocento, the group of these newspapers, were ahead with the publication of the report on Sunday 19th, one week before, to provide information to the readers. And José worked in the infographics more than a month and a half. He was making pieces in his spare time until the last week, when he exclusively dedicated the time to the Sabbath. So 1 month before he was working, and then exactly the week before. And instead of describing all the basilica, he focused on what was restored, on the town. And with his works, I thought it would be more appealing to our readers if we showed what the original town was like, hypothetically, and how it is conserved today. The third graphic about this stamp was published in La Vanguardia, the leader newspaper in Barcelona, on 16 April, 4 weeks after El Correo, on the Catholic Easter Sunday of that year. Alan Jurgens, the author, remembers that when they received the documentation from me on June 2016, but they started the graphic on February 2017. And he began to review a 3D model in his spare time, the 3D model of the Basilica. And he told me that the news on the end of the restoration on March completely overwhelmed them, so they did the publication until Easter. They didn't arrive to the end of the works. They thought, well, the Easter is a good time to publish. And Alan has also experienced this knowing and not knowing. In his words, it was a surprise to discover that the Golgotha and the Tomb of Jesus are identified and are so close. I had also never imagined the complexity of the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre, the complex history, the architecture, and the administration through the various Christian faiths. I thought it was worth showing my readers with a big, powerful illustration. We have left Fernando Batista planning his trip to Jerusalem. Now we go back to him. Yeah, you have Fernando. be achieved with just months of work, with various people, with a big team, high budget, but with many talent. They are very talented journalists there in this magazine. In any case, it will be it will do it justice to provide some facts. In Fernando's words, there are many myths circulating about the long time periods we have. No? I traveled to Jerusalem in February 2017. After that, between March and June, I worked on another 3 projects. And then finally, I dedicated my time in July and August exclusively to the Holy Sepulchre. So they plan an article with a year, no, in advance, but they are working in many other projects. So at the end, maybe they work 1 month, 2 months in every project. No? From the original sketches until the final piece, 2 investigators invested around 150 hours to gather information and check the details, both in regards to the illustration and the texts. So the documentation I sent to Fernando was just the beginning to decide to make the graphic, but they investigate well, there's 150 hours, 2 persons, so they make an incredible job to document all every detail, no? And every detail also is studied by scholars to help them to visual that the graphic is very accurate. The delivery date was to be fixed in September because you need 3 months for each edition to be adapted and to translate the graphics. So if you publish in December, you finish on September. According to our standards, 2 months for such a big project is not a lot of time. It's normal to make progress on 2 or 3 projects at a time with 3 or 4 months of margin, because sometimes experts' opinions can take a while to obtain. You write the scholar, but then they give an answer. So. The infographics were published in 2 leaflets of 3 and 4 pages on the December 2017 issue. We have here the 4 pages leaflet, the vertical one. To make this explanation, this graphic of the town, it was very, it's based, well, they made, I don't know, he told me, no? They made more than 10 versions of this graphic. Well, at the end, I will display it after. Then we have the 3 pages leaflet, the original one. The 4 works that we have seen the Palabra, Correo, Vanguardia, National Geographic. Well, all these 4 works can be compared and evaluated. The graphics of the 4 media all include some informative elements. The edicula, its position in the basilica and with regards to the Golgotha, the development of the area and the building, the location in Jerusalem. All this information is more or less in all 4 graphics. However, they all don't have the same visual weight or the same visual importance. There are also differences in the way some elements are represented. The places or the church appear in some infographics on the front or laterally with a schematic drawing, and in others they have perspective or an amazing level of detail and finish. These differences are clearly down to aesthetic decisions or informative effectiveness in some cases, but in other cases it is clear that some authors have more precise documentation as National Geographic, more time, more resources, more space, more time. Regarding the content, the infographics of National Geographic magazine contain updates on everything previously published. Firstly, the reconstruction of the Tomb of Jesus, as it was in the first century, is based on information obtained from the scan of the rock remains carried out by the Greek archaeologists, not also by what they found, when the slabs were moved, but also because they scanned all the pedicula. Here you have, this is the most important informative piece in this graphic, because in Fernando words, for every subject you look for experts, for scholars, and sometimes they clash. Scholars, they have different opinions, and for example, we have problems with two of them when it came to the sepulchre. I draw lots of different versions based on different sources, with Arcosolia, with 3 recesses, only 1 recess, with events, and so on. None of them seem to be correct. When we receive the information from the radar system from the Greek team, this one, everything changed. So our drawing is still an hypothesis. It's an hypothesis. This is an hypothesis, but it might be the most probable with the information of the archaeologists. But then secondly, we have never drawn anything with as much precision as the planimetry of the abandoned quarry where the Golgotha and the Sepulchre are located. It is also based on information gathered over the years through successive archaeological investigations by the custody of the Holy Land and other institutions. In Fernando's words, we try to always be as precise as possible. The newspaper is used and then thrown away. Our magazine is kept. We print editions in 75 countries and in 36 languages, reaching to 20 million readers every month. The repercussions are clear, so it's important to be accurate. As an ending reflection, we can ask ourselves, with the work of National Geographic in mind and seeing that, was it worth for Palabra, El Correo, and La Vanguardia to publish their graphics? Well, to give the right answer, I'd like to think the audience. Let's remember something obvious. Not all the readers of this media get the National Geographic magazine and get more. Besides, among those who do, not all are willing to wait months to know more about the Tomb of Jesus, although the information wasn't entirely as precise or complete as it could have been. So, in graphics, my opinion is draw what you can, but with honesty, because a good enough source to which you have access is better than a perfect but out of reach source. An ingenious overcomes limitation from a small budget, and a graphic thing sometimes, even if simple, is more valuable than missing the publication date. The good thing is that these graphics of El Correo and National Geographic then are published in the footprints of our faith. We obtained the permission to use these graphics and publish these graphics, so you can find especially the graphics of National Geographic, even if adapted. The authors are friends of me, they are close friends, and they trust that I can adapt the work and the work system very well. So I live with Joseángel.
I will talk from here. I think it's okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm Joseángel Domínguez. The microphone is there, so I think that also those from YouTube can hear from here better. So I have the honor of having written this book with Father Jesús Gil, thanks to Saxum Foundation who was working with us. And I really wanted to start saying thanks because sometimes we leave this for the end. And I would like to thank, first of all, in first place, all those scholars, researchers, and professors who have been working with us and helping us. Because with two people, it's not enough to check all the data that we have provided. And there is no actual, I think, there is no new research done for the book. It's not a book of, it's more a divulgative work. It helps people understand better. And mostly everything is available somewhere else. Sometimes it's not accurate, sometimes it's not matching the information from different sources. So we wanted to make this, and in order to do that, we have access to professors from San Damaso in Spain, professors from Santa Croce University in Rome, and also from Navarra University, and they help us a lot with comments and with research. So first, thanks to them. Then thanks also to Rossicon Press, the owners of Rossicon Press. They come here all the way from Poland. And thanks to them, we also have the Polish version. It's already available. They were faster than the English version, faster than the Italian version, and also it's a very good quality. So thank you so much. You worked so hard to have this available. And also they are working with us in other projects. In the future, we might see new books, hopefully. And it's a great project that they have in Poland. I also wanted to thank CRETIO Foundation. That's where I work, so it would be a little egoistic to think about that, but I also have to say that they provided me with time to focus on the research. They have allowed me time to think and to research and to work. Sometimes it was part of a course I was teaching, sometimes it was just material I prepared before, but they allowed me to go on. I want to thank Barbara Pereira also for her work in this, and we have been able to provide with this content. And of course I want to thank Saxum. Since the beginning, they support the project. The Saxum Foundation got the licenses, the agreements, the papers. We also have a big promotion with Isa Manolo from the Visitor Center. So thank you so much. And for sure, thanks to Father Jesús Gil. Because one day, in the middle of the pandemic, he called me and said, hey, why don't we write a book? And I was like, okay. So I was remembering that the first time we met was in Rome. We were studying in the Santa Croce University. But then he told me that he was coming to Jerusalem. He was visiting the group, and we came just to this exact place with a car, and there was machines working for the first time, breaking the ground for the building of Saxum Visitor Center. So we were really impressed about this, and we were talking about the future of the reach of the project. So now that I can see on the other side of the room, I can see the screens and the text that we have been also working with, so I'm really proud of it, and I feel at home here at Saxum. So thanks for Jesus for that call, and he told me, yes, there is a lot of, he was working with Huellas de Nuestra Fe, the footprints in the beginning, and then I really take advantage of that book with groups coming for a pilgrimage, and then I'm more focused on Bible studies, and I think, okay, we are needing something like that. Most of the times, pilgrims or people reading the Bible, they have a hard time trying to find out who is who and when. So that was the first thing we wanted to answer, right? And we reached this idea of the Bible Portico. So I will answer two questions very briefly. Why Bible and why Portico? And to do so, I would like you to play a short game with me. So if you have your phone, you can go to your phone. And you can go to a a website called menti.com. I will open it. Okay, you go to menti.com. And you will be asked it's menti.com, and you will be asked to introduce a code that is in the screen. I will read it for our friends connecting from afar. The code is 43 25 56 76. That is 43 25 56 76. And when you are in, there is only one question. It's in one word, what do you look for when you read the Bible? It's tricky because it's in one word, but you are allowed to answer 3 words. So your answers will be shown in the screen. So we will see what is the public opinion about what we read the Bible and what do we look for. I repeat for those connecting now, it's menti.com. menti.com, and the number is 4325 5676. So this is a poll, so the more votes, the bigger the word. It's only, yes, there you go. And I'm not sure we will agree. I'm not sure we will agree. This is just a question to the public. We will see what comes up. It's not prepared. If you want to try, just connect and put your name. God, truth, spiritual stories, love, Jesus, narrative. I don't have an answer prepared. I don't know what will come up. Some people join in. And if 3 words is not enough, you can try again. Actually, I didn't block it, so you can keep adding words. And you can be all the time the same word if you want it to be. Knowledge, Word of God. Exactly, this is what you look when you look for the Bible. If you open the Bible, you go to read it and what I'm looking for. Now this is interesting, I wasn't thinking about it, but it's okay. It's okay. So we keep adding, there will be a second question, that will be the last question, so I will not bother you with this anymore. Okay. I will share this later with Saxum so you can keep the results. And now, second question is, these are 4 elements. And for your opinion, according to you, what is essential in the Bible? This is a very sophisticated question because some people would like to choose them all. Like, yeah, they are all element essential. But if you have to put them in order, what order would you put? What is first for you? What is second? What's third? We can have some bots online voting. I don't know. I cannot check that right now. The message, the history, the author, the geography, probably will be different for each one. We are just making an average of the opinions of the room, but this will be what we are looking for. So, when I talked to Father Jesús Gil the first time, a couple of years ago, when we were gathering information, what is what we want to say? And what came to my mind was actually, yeah, thank you so much. I will share this with you later. It will be available, hopefully. By the way, for those who know me, this is the Nativus is the prophet Obadiah. It has to be Obadiah. So, what came to my mind was this text. This is a text from the first letter of St. Peter, and I put it in the original Greek because I think that it's hard to translate. I took one translation, and then I took another one, and then I redid it. Probably it's not well written in English because it's hard to get, but it says, always be ready to defend before anyone who demands from you the reason for your hope, for the hope that is in you. And there is a Greek word at the beginning which is important, is etoimai. So be ready, be prepared. And when we were doing the book, I was feeling that I was preparing the book. I was doing this etoimoi, I was preparing. And the second word I think is important is logon. Because this word was not in the original translation, but I had it in English because it's the proportion, the rapport, the ratio that is the content of what we're teaching, what the gospel is about is logon. And then something that's interesting is with gentleness. So when I was thinking about the work with Father Jesus, he was doing it with a lot of gentleness. He was very gentle with me because I was always late in my deadlines, being patient with me, but also we wanted to have a book that is gentle. And I'm really proud of the way the design was done. It's like, this is very gentle. So if you want to know about the hope I have a reason for that, I have a logos for that, and it is written with some gentleness. Then, why Portico? It is written in the introduction of the book, and I think it's a great idea. This comes directly from Father Jesus. I didn't think about that in the beginning, but it's when Christians used to go to the big cathedrals in the 13th century, they will have all the explanation they need, or the introduction they need to the mysteries, represented with icons, with sculptures, with reliefs, with images, because some people will not be able to read, or even if they were able to read. It's great to have the opportunity to see. This is from Galicia, from Santiago, Portico de la Gloria, if I'm not wrong. And you have the representation of the mystery that is in. So something that I think is important with the book, we don't want you to skip the reading of the Bible. It's not like, okay, I don't have to read the Bible, I can read the book. No, the book is a portico for the Bible. So then you can go to the Bible and you can understand some elements that might be more confusing, because we cannot forget that the process of the Bible is not easy. It's not easy. So now we'll talk a little bit about the content and what is in the book. Anyway, this is the future Chinese version. It's almost finished. Yeah, I'm very proud because I can see my name in Chinese. I hope it's my name. But yeah, you never know. This is the book. I have the English version, so I will speak very, very fast. In the content, something after the introduction, we have this image, which is, in the printed version, is a double page, and you have the whole composition and compiling of the Bible. So that is something that, as a scholar in Bible studies, you always wanted to have to teach the rest of the people when you're teaching a class or when you're trying to explain it, how the Bible came to be a Bible, how it happened. So you have the different periods and elements that come from each period. And it's in one graphic, in one moment. Why graphics are important, you already know, because we have just read about and heard about this. Then the second thing is, this is a very common question, is that are there different Bibles? Yeah, there are different versions of the Bible. You have different canons. That's a fact. You have different Bibles. You go to a place, you ask for a Bible, they should ask you which one. And there is a list of the books of the Bible according to the different canons. You have the Jewish Bible, the Hebrew Bible. Then we also have the Septuagint, the Greek Bible. We have the Catholic Bible here, and we have an explanation about the Orthodox and the Protestant versions. So that is very helpful sometimes just to go and check. I used to go to Wikipedia. That's not reliable for this point, at least so far. Maybe we can change the content of Wikipedia. Okay? And this, I would say, is the biggest challenge of all, because this is a summary of the Bible. A double page explaining what happens in the Bible. We start with God, and we finish with the revelation, with Jesus. So, trying to say what's going on in the Bible in a double page, that's a bit, you run the risk of being simplistic. So, it's not, of course, a summary of the content, but it really helps understand the different ages, different periods. We don't have dates here, we just have the different eras, the different succession of events that make sense within the Bible, so you understand, when you read it, where you are in general. And from here, this is the big picture of the Bible, then we start focusing, geographically and chronologically. That was, I have to say, that was inspired of the visitor center, which is also organized like this. in the visitor center of Saxum, we first have the whole timeline of the Bible, and then you have the whole Holy Land in the floor. And then you focus on the first century and the land of Jesus, and then you focus on Jerusalem and the last week of the Lord. So this process of focusing also helped a lot in the book. Here you have a summary of all the places mentioned in the Bible, just grouped in 8, which is the 8 places that are, the 8 regions that are included. And then we start one by one going through all the books of the Bible. So I will say how to use it. It might not be just, I say this to my mom, just in case. Don't take page 1 and read it to the end. This is not how this book works. You don't start reading and finish it. It's very useful, it's a tool, but you should not, you should read it. I told my mom because she didn't read my PhD. So for example, we have first the patriarchs. We start with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we have here the map of the journey of Abraham. So you have the geography. And then you have the content of the book of Genesis. We include some different information. For example, we have the literary genre. We have the composition history. We wanted to distinguish the part of what is the history that is told and the history of the book itself. Then we have the description of the different chapters. And I think this is very useful if you want to dive into the Bible with, you already have some knowledge that you want to situate content. And say, I was talking with a friend, and she said today, I started reading the book of Daniel. So I went to look for the book of Daniel, and I now have a better picture of how it is. So we go one by one through all the books. So this is, I would say, how to use it. That will be the next question. So how to use the book? I found this meme. I think it was very funny. So if you look for how do I convert to Judaism, Islam, Catholicism, PDF. So it's the 4th religion now. So yes, the book is in PDF. It's available. You can download it. You don't need to convert to PDF. It's already converted to PDF. And it is really helpful because at least the PDF version for us, you look for Abraham and it shows the places that it appears. So you go very fast to the place. But also, Jesus did a great job with the index. So the introduction, the table of contents is indexed. You can click on a place and it will take you to the right page. So when I'm teaching a subject on the Bible, I can just open my book. I prepare my classes. But if I am rushing, I can just go to the book and click there and it will show. But there is something. We were talking about the Bible. There is something interesting. The word in Greek, ta biblia, is a plural word. It means the books. But it moved to Latin in singular. Why is that? Because the Bible is a book of books. It started as different books written through different periods, far from them. I love the book of Daniel. I think it's very interesting because you have, in the Catholic Bible, you have a part of it written in Greek, a part of it was written in Hebrew, and a part of it was written in Aramaic. So in the same book, you have 3 languages from different periods. So how to go through that, that's interesting. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to have the book. So you will see a process that is very long and took centuries, explained, simplified, of course, more adjusted to these few pages, because the book is not that thick. You can buy one and take it in your language. It's very simple. So something that I wanted to add is we added these small tips within the book. You have these small texts. And this is from the book of Genesis. We have this small image. And it's written here. God puts Abraham's faith to the test by asking him to offer him his only son Isaac. At a time when sacrifice to God had not yet been defined by law. And then there is a link. You can go to page 53. We will not do it now, but if you go to page 53, there is a moment when the law is established about the sacrifices, but there is no temple. And then you should go to the next page. And if you click there, you go to a next page where the temple is established. So you see that these Biblia, these books, are connected. I was asking before, what do you look for when you read the Bible? Some people will say, I was looking for God. And some people reply, the essential thing for me is the author of the book. And that's great. And this will help you. Because you see that these old books have the mind of the author behind it. But also, if what you are looking for in the Bible is to know more history or to understand better the culture or to know more about the context of your faith, you can also see here elements that are transversal. We are talking about, for example, the anointing, how the oil was important, and how to anoint in Hebrew is Meshach, is the Messiah, is the one who is anointed. But that word in Greek is Christos. So you see also through the words the connection. So we wanted to have a book that will help people to start. Some people ask me, where should I start reading the Bible? That's a good question. That depends on the time you have for it. My personal advice, if you have never opened the book of the Bible, I don't think it's the case for the people in this room, but if you've never opened the Bible, you should go for the Gospel. First thing that you can read in the New Testament, you can read the Gospel of Mark tonight. That's something you can do. And if you want to start from the Old Testament, something good is to start, for example, the first book of Samuel. That's very interesting because you start reading the book of Samuel and you can, like a continuous history of the people through the time. And then around that you can put the Psalms, you can put the prophets, so that's a good start, having Mark and the book of Samuel and the whole Deuteronomic story. So that's all for me. Thank you so much. I hope you have access to the book online. Hopefully it will be soon also in all the languages. And thank you, Father Jesus, for your time.
Thank you very much to both of you, and please, we have few copies of the books here in English and Spanish, so